Hello, everyone. This is Chala, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, welcoming you to another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala live. Let me take a sip. As I am preparing for a whole week of traveling and conference speaking, breakouts, keynote, executive roundtables. It is going to be a very full week next week. First, I'm going to the Capital One Summit, Envision Summit in Richmond, and we're going to be holding an private executive roundtable there. And then the very next day, I'm flying over to Orlando, where the Go for the Greens is happening. It's a annual conference which brings women business owners together, and I'll be doing the keynote, and I'll be doing some other breakouts and meeting with business owners and CEOs, and we'll be doing an executive roundtable there as well. So it is such an exciting busy time. Of course, I'm praying that the weather gods are with us and all the flights and everything else goes off. There's a golfing portion. I bought myself a skort anyway. So as I'm getting ready to talk to so many business owners and so many CEOs, I did a little bit more digging into, I love to provide a look into the buyer's mind, because really most of the conferences that I attend and most of the events that I hold are either procurement conferences where they're going to be meeting, business owners are going to be meeting and being paired with or match made with actual buyers from large corporations, or I'm holding executive roundtables where I'm telling them some of the newest, most relevant information that they can use to get in front of new large buyers and then to be able to close those sales. So according to a Harvard professor named Gerald Zaltman, he found that 95% of purchasing decisions were subconscious. I mean, these are so insidious that even the people, the consumers, when he was interviewing them, the reasons why they said they were buying were very logical reasons. They were all like, well, we've compared it to the competition. The pricing is, within our budget, there's going to be a better ROI. There's better features and benefits. And yet, the true reason why they were buying was always turned out to be emotional. And he knew that because most of the time he found that they never even looked at the competitors, or most of the time it was their body language. So what he called it down to was one factor, which is emotion. Why are people buying, and why are they not honest about it? Because they're not even aware of it themselves. So imagine how much leverage we have if we know how to drive these emotions. And for corporate buying, the B2B versus the B2C is that, of course, they're buying for someone else. They're not spending their own money. They're buying for a corporation. But you still have to build, and in this case, in this instance, because they're buying for someone else and because their job depends on it, you have to build a lot of trust. So I looked into what is some of the research around building trust with buyers, especially in 2025. And the buyer picture has changed. And I've been talking about this in bits and pieces on my lives and in my roundtables and in my keynotes, but I'm going to give you, comparison, side to side comparison of how it's changed and why it's changed and how to build trust with this new audience. So remember, they're not as logical as you think. And how do you sway their emotions? And that really, the only way you can sway their emotions is by building trust. And how do you build trust is to be present at their entire journey. And their journey has changed. And when I say their journey, is their buying journey, all the steps one by one that they go through before they even think about buying from you or anyone else. So the number one factor that you have to understand is 73% of buyers right now for large corporations are, believe it or not, millennials. These are people who were born between 1981 and 1996. In fact, they make up about 44% of the top tier of buyers. And then there's a slight participation from Gen Z, which is they were born in 1997 to 2012. So they're starting to creep up in there. Now, what are some of the differences between the way that buying used to be in, for my level, at my age level, with the new millennials? And the number one thing is they want self-directed. They were born with digital media. They were born to technology. So 70% of the buying process, of the purchasing process, is now done before they'll even contact a representative of a company that they're looking to work with or do business with. So give them multiple sources of content about your specialty, about who you help, and about case studies. A lot of them, and there is a stat around that, I think it's over 70%, will not even do business with someone who doesn't have case studies in their own industry. Number two is no more face-to-face, maybe followed by a little bit of phone, maybe followed by a little bit of email. Now, 84% want an omni-channel approach. So they're hopping. So this is how it works. So you need to be present. You and your content to engender their trust need to be present, not just on email, but you need to go to LinkedIn, and you need to be present on Zoom, and you need to be on their messaging apps, and you need to be on their e-commerce portals. You need to be at their events. It's a multi-channel approach. So, the onus is on the marketer and the salesperson to be coordinating all these multiple touch points. Now, this makes it even more important that you have a very clear target in industry, if not in what I'll talk about later, which is ABM, account-based marketing, is that you're actually targeting one or several, like for that year, 3 or 5 huge whale accounts. When you know exactly who your target is, you know where they are, who they're with, who their other suppliers are, how you can reach them through multiple channels, and what exact case studies and pain point histories you need to build and have as your content so that they can see you on a multi-channel focus. Okay. Number 3 is nobody is willing to tolerate, no buyer, because they're millennials now, they're not willing to tolerate the wait and see and formal, slow sales process. The contact us for a demo and wait for 3 days for them to get back. They're not interested in formal pitches. 97% want speed. For you to be able to do things online, for them to be able to buy online. They want personalization, this ABM approach, which is the account-based marketing. They want things like instant chat. They want things like, tailored content. They want it all. Yes, but that's the way they think. Yes, it's a lot. And especially if you come from the old world where you were like, do a little golfing, do a little networking. Now you're, in their inbox. Now they're able to pick up your phone calls. And then you go in, there's a huge formal presentation done, and, everybody shows up. It doesn't work like that anymore, unfortunately, because you're dealing with the millennials. 73% are millennials. Number 4 is trust is no longer through the in-person, as I said, the rapport or the referrals. But it's really, you have to build trust through transparency, user reviews, case studies, third-party validations, like, commission research. Like a lot of the B2B marketing companies are actually, this is where I'm getting my research, are coming up with actual research that they've commissioned so that you can trust them as a thought leader and a solution provider, which is a partner. So, there's a stat that says 2 out of 5 buyers in a corporation share online reviews of a vendor with 4 or more colleagues on their team. So if you think about, first of all, it takes now on average more than 11 months. I think it's like 11.1 months, 11.3, I think, is the number of months it takes to close a deal. And there's on average anywhere from 5 to 12 buyers in a buying committee per purchase in a corporation. So think of all of these touch points and how long it is, this process, and how how many people that you have to influence, and think about what you need to say in your content, how important it is for you to have content, and how important it is for you to have multi-channel content. And in order for you to get all of that right, and for you not to be lost in the haze of content, I think it's really critical that you look at thought leadership content, which is kind of the thing that I'm doing, which is something that I can't really do, which is your thought leadership, where I'm doing one-to-many speaking, where I'm doing it at conferences, and I'm doing it live like this on a weekly Tuesday tea time live streams. Think of ways that you can break through that your competitors are not doing, but also that places you and your content in a way that can be multi-purposed in omni channels that they are looking for you. Because if you engage with them way, way, way early in the concept iteration of what their needs are in the need development, they're going to have you in mind, because 90% of them know at least one of the incumbents of the number of people that they're speaking to in terms of vendors. They're going to have you in mind, and hopefully that's going to sway them to have more trust, which is the key emotion to buying. So remember, 95% of purchasing decisions are made subconsciously. So you can sway that, and you have to sway that with your marketing, and there's nothing else to it. All right, I hope that helps. And I won't be seeing you next week, but I'll see you the week after and tell you all about it. Thank you. Take care.